discovered Kobe?
Well, Jim, I really didn't discover Kobe, okay? There was, he was a great young high school player in that time. It wasn't in vogue to draft players like that. And as I say, it was part of the process of getting here. His agent, Norntellum, and myself were able to, working through the draft till he became a Laker. And those were very exciting moments for us to get a young, charismatic kid like him, but more importantly, a very unique talent. And it was start of a long, I don't say process, but start of a long friendship and working relationship. And to hear this news this morning, frankly, at first I was shocked. And then after a while, it's really sunk in. And, to see the transformation of him from a 17-year-old kid who used to spend time at my house with me to my son Ryan driving him around because he couldn't drive. He couldn't even sign a contract because he was too young. To him, the constant questions about the NBA, wanting me to go to a gym with him to watch him work out and maybe make suggestions to him. It was more than, I really felt like a surrogate father to him. And then as his career blossomed and, he started to establish this enormous reputation as a player and also filled with accomplishments. But his charisma on top of it was something that most great players don't have, and he had it. But to wake up to this news, this has been one of the most horrible days of my life. I felt like I've lost a son, and frankly, not doing very well.
Yeah, Jerry, I know there's only a few people that have had a really intimate relationship with Kobe, and you are one of them because you were with him there through the good, the bad, and the indifferent.
Well, Jim, it wasn't all rosy. It never is, and particularly for someone like him who was so anxious for success. I remember there's one personal thing I remember. I said to him after a game where he played, and I said, "Man, you look a little tired tonight." And he said to me, "I just proposed to my wife, to hopefully my new wife." And I'll never forget that moment. It was in the locker room right after a game. And, to see him get married, have children, and change a career so drastically to where he was making a difference in his world, not as an athlete, but as a very bright person. His interest in women in terms of his basketball academy, the pride that he took into those things, and to see that all taken, and his family, my God, there's going to have to be some really strong people out there supporting them, because this is the worst news you could ever get.
I know it's difficult, Jerry. You knew him better than anyone. And the other thing is, he came to you for advice, not only about basketball, but just about growing and maturing into a young man responsible to his family and to the community as well, didn't he?
Well, Jim, as I say, I don't want to go around saying that I was responsible for his life. Period. I don't, because that would be grossly unfair. But the thing that I will share with you is how, to me, the things I saw him, the maturity that I saw him grow into. I saw him grow up. I saw him deal with, press that was negative at times, and he played the game with a flair. And anytime you play the game with a flair, you're susceptible to making mistakes. But I was his biggest supporter. but also I had some very serious talks with him about how he needs to change his game a little bit to be able to accommodate himself with his other teammates. But I think the thing that brought me great joy was to watch him with his wife and his kids. It was truly inspiring for me to see this. He lived in a world of testosterone, okay, as all athletes do. And for him to be able to separate the athletic accomplishments with his personal accomplishments and the things that he was doing to have a successful career. This was a brilliant kid. This wasn't some athlete who just happened to be a great basketball player. He was more than that. And Jim, this was...
Yeah, I know, Jerry.
It's going to take a long time for me to get over this one.
Jerry, why do you think he is still so beloved today, even though he's been out of the game for a couple of years?
Jim, I think players that play the game with a flair, okay? You see a lot of great players who, look at Abdul-Jabbar's career, okay? And he just had a completely different personality. And you can arguably say he's the greatest career of anyone. But yet people, I don't think, will equate and look at him the same way they do as Irvin Johnson. He played the game with a flair. He had a great vibe with the fans. He still does. He's bigger than life. And Kobe's legacy, that it will remain forever. His impact will remain forever. And, but my God, I just feel so horrible for his family. Oh, my goodness.
And for as great a basketball player as he was, Jerry, and I've said many times, and I've heard you say it too, he was a better family man, a husband and father. Man, he loved those ladies in his home.
Well, as I say, all you had to do was see him with them. That's all you had to do. And I once kidded him one time after he had a couple of girls, and again, I'm not someone who goes around and communicates with players, ex-players, okay? I don't think that's my position in this world. I just know the admiration that I have for the players that have really achieved something special, but sometimes the ones who haven't. But with him, as I say, he had a little extra gold dust sprinkled on him, and I was kidding him. I said, "You're not a man." I said, "You have all these women in your life." And, of course, he laughed at it. But to think that I won't see him, to think his family won't see him, people who loved him, people who admired him, it's just god-awful.
He was a gift, wasn't he, Jerry?
Jim, he was definitely a gift. Yes, he was. And as I say, you never know when a kid is born what it's going to be. And even though he was the son of a basketball player, it's hard to imagine his excellence, people call it Mamba mentality. I don't. He was just born with an incredible desire to win, and it had nothing with his mentality. He just wanted to win at all costs, and he would win at all costs. He laid his life on the line every night when it came to winning. Losing was not in his vocabulary, and with a lot of great players, but he just had this persona that very few have, a lot desire, lot will never have, even though they've had great careers.
Jerry, would you say he was one of the most singularly focused athletes you've ever been around?
Yes, Jim, and I think in today's day and age, and particularly with the more social media that we have today, it gets talked about so much, okay? But there's other players that had that same focus, and I think because he talked about it, because people wanted to know what drove him, and he talked about it a lot more. But there's a lot of players that have it, but they don't have that persona. They just don't have it. And God, that will be missed in this city. Oh my goodness. For me, as I say, I started off in disbelief, and now I'm in another place. It's not a good place.
Yeah. He was also, Jerry, one of the few individuals that we know that when he walked across the street, he really did stop traffic, didn't he?
Jimmy, again, as I said before, there's certain people that have that. And Magic Johnson, same way. The same way. And the people in Los Angeles have been blessed to see some incredibly gifted players. And he was homegrown. Irvin Johnson was homegrown. And they mean so much to this city, so much to their communities, so much to the young kids out there looking for something positive in their lives. And as I say, this is just really hard for me to believe. I just want to go to bed and think that this is a nightmare.
Jerry, when he retired, he was ready. I mean, there are a lot of guys who are forced into retirement. There are some guys who kind of adjust to retirement, but he was ready for retirement. It was almost as though everything you told him and taught him came to fruition, because when he said Mamba out, he was ready to go.
Well, Jimmy, it's not what I taught him. Your body teaches you this. It's your body. It's not... Your body talks to you all the time when you're an athlete, okay? People see athletes perform at this enormously high level, and they can't jack it up every night, regardless of how gifted they are. They can go out there and get numbers that no one else can do and influence a game. But somewhere along the way, your will gets tested, because you just don't feel like that you can compete at that level every night as you get older. But as I say, I've lost a brother in the war at 19 years of age, and to lose someone that I loved and admired, not easy.
Yeah, Jerry, we've just told that his daughter Gianna was on that plane with him.
I had heard that, Jimmy, unfortunately, and that's the one who was, you could always see him with in pictures. And my wife was just going through some pictures of me and my kids with him when he was a puppy. And just think back those days, just carefree, happy, bright-eyed young man, or teenager. Frankly, I didn't even want to look at him.
Jerry, what's the life lesson? Because I know you always were teaching your players, no matter how many years they've been in the league. What's the life lesson to learn from the life of Kobe Bryant?
Hard work, dedication, beyond many, and this enormous desire to succeed. And the people are successful. A lot of people talk a good game, and they make themselves bigger in the newspaper than they really are. He lived